too much.
Right. Hi,
Myles
Myles.
L Berman is here. How you doing, man? Have a seat. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see everybody here.
It's always good to have a friend like Myles and have his number handy. You all know it, 1-888, the number 4 Top Gun.
Right.
You need-
888-4 Top Gun.
Hopefully, you'll never have to call it.
Yep.
But if you ever need him, he's like your best buddy. He's there for you. When you need him the most, Myles L Berman's going to have your
Every
back.
time we've seen Myles, we're always like, all right, well, good seeing you. Hope I don't see you soon. But we just mean, hope we don't need you.
So how you been? You're on Twitter now.
Yeah. You told me, Frank, a while ago that I should start working the social site. So I've been doing it, and hopefully I'm doing it all right.
Yeah,
Because you're the master.
Right. What I love about Myles is that he'll tweet the checkpoints, and you're not digging in, you're not hacking into any system to find these checkpoints. This is public knowledge, and you're just putting them together and saying, hey, here's the info.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of sources, and usually I tweet them Friday afternoon, and then you guys gratefully retweet them because people should know where the checkpoints are. It's required by law enforcement to publicize the checkpoint, so we're just helping facilitate the police department complying with the law.
If I didn't follow Myles L Berman on Twitter, or one of us, and didn't know that I was going to hit a checkpoint, and I do go to a checkpoint, and I've had 2 glasses of wine at a Christmas party, totally fine, but over maybe a 2-hour period, and they say, "Have you had anything to drink tonight? What's my best strategy? If I'm fine, is it better to be honest?"
Well, if you drank and you smell like alcohol, yeah, it's probably a good idea to say that you drank. But understand that you're not required to answer the questions as far as where you came from, where you're going to, how much you had to drink, things like that. Most people, though, end up saying, yeah, I had a couple of beers or a couple of drinks. And surprisingly, that doesn't mean that you're under the influence of alcohol. All that means is that you just don't want to go to jail. People just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And that's actually a true statement for a lot of people, that they've had a couple of drinks, at least. But, sometimes, they have more. People are nervous. I mean, they're not sure what to do. Most people have never been through this situation before. So they're very nervous, and they're not quite sure what to say. But again, I want to stress that doesn't mean you're under the influence of alcohol. And we bring that out at trial, that most people who come in contact with the police are really nervous.
Yeah, it's a very stressful situation. It's almost like if you were going to be given a lie detector test. The anxiety of taking a lie detector test might skew the lie detector test. That's why lie detector tests aren't allowed in court,
and they're like,
right?
well, what are you nervous about?
It's like they can, say, oh, he failed it, but you can't. That's not evidence in court. But in the breathalyzer, or maybe the field sobriety test, it's like, I'm so nervous here, and I tripped over myself, and you failed the field sobriety test.
Well, it's interesting. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, that is allowed in court.
You're talking about field lie detector tests, and they're unreliable, which is why they're not used in criminal cases. Sometimes civil cases they come up, but in criminal cases they're not allowed in California. The same thing with breath testing. A lot of it is unreliable. Breath testing is not an exact science. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of errors that occur with breath testing. So we bring out the errors in the machines, et cetera, to let the juries know that they're just not reliable to show what the blood alcohol level is at the time of the person was driving.
And a field sobriety test, when they say, ma'am, step out of your car, we're going to have you, do. I don't have to do that. I can say, just call my attorney, Myles. Well, I mean, what do I say? If you're like, you don't have to answer any questions about where you've been or if you've had anything to drink, what do I say? Then I can't just go, no, none of your bizwax.
None of your bizwax.
Beeswax.
Yeah, I think they might probably think you had a couple drinks and say bizwax.
None of your beeswax, then.
If you say, excuse me, I want to call 888-4 Top Gun, you may not be allowed to do that.
Okay.
But like I was saying, that field sobriety test, just like where you come from, where you're going to, you don't have to do them. Everything is completely voluntary. I mean, you have to identify yourself, you have to show your license, proof of registration, and things of insurance.
It just seems like like Heidi's saying, if I no, I'm not walking heel to toe. I'm not pointing at my nose.
And I'm not telling you where I've been.
And I'm not telling you where I've been, so take that. And then we end up going to court, and it's like, well, he wasn't very cooperative. Well, why weren't you cooperative? Because I was wasted.
Oh, no, never admit that.
No, but I mean, it doesn't really look goods, but you don't want to build a case against yourself. So it's kind of like a catch-22, really. But
it is. It takes a strong constitution for people to, I mean internal, but for people to stand on the Constitution and say that they just prefer not to answer any of the questions. But the field sobriety tests, they are very, very unreliable either way because people are nervous. Frank was mentioning you're in high heels.
Yeah.
Heidi doing field sobriety tests.
she's not used to wearing high heels. We know that, Myles.
Well, yeah, and imagine they let you take your shoes off and you're standing on the side of the road and 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's
cold, especially this time of year, and you're trying to walk the line or you're trying to stand on one foot and trying to balance yourself.
Could be windy.
Not only that, but add on top of that the nervousness that you feel going through this for the first time. And by the way, most people who get arrested for DUI get arrested for the first time. And the penalties have gotten so severe that people are almost compelled to fight their cases.
What are the penalties?
Well, let's talk about just a first offense DUI where, say, a person is over the limit and no accident, no injuries, things like that. Running a stop sign, not stopping
to a complete stop. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So different jurisdictions vary, but for L.A. and Orange County, you're looking at a fine, $2,000 to $3,000 depending. 3 years probation. If it's a lower alcohol level, a 90-day alcohol program.
Meaning under the legal limit.
No, say a .10.
Oh, okay.
Because as you get higher, the programs are longer. So,
got it.
There's 6-month program, 9-month program, et cetera. So
Do you lose your license?
well, we didn't even get to that yet.
Oh, geez.
In LA County, which is a pilot county, and I'm almost positive it's going to go statewide. LA is one of the 4 or 5 pilot counties in the state, where if you're convicted of DUI, first offense, you need to install an ignition interlock device in any car that you own or have access to for 5 months.
God, that's embarrassing when you got to blow into your car.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Hold on, honey. Picking up a date.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's interesting how your mind goes in that direction. How about a businesswoman who is driving
She's in
her
real
car to make
estate.
appointments?
She's got to show a house. She's like, hold on.
Oh, that's awful.
You want to entertain somebody, or there's a family with one car, and say the husband is. We'll make the guy the bad guy this time. The husband is convicted of DUI. He has I've heard it called the blower. He has a blower in his car, ignition interlock device in his car, and then they go out, but the wife is driving or the wife needs the car. I mean, this
and then she has to do it too.
All the other soccer moms see her blowing into the car.
Yeah.
She has to blow into it.
No,
because
no.
Well,
it's programmed for
his breath. They know his breath.
Whoa.
It's programmed. It's not just his breath. It's more than that. Fingerprinting.
Okay.
Wow, that's high tech.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean,
sounds almost too expensive to go statewide. That's why the fines are so expensive, because they have to pay for all these devices to go into your cars.
Well, yeah. Plus, you have to pay for that as well, and the insurance is a killer. Now, you asked about
losing your license.
License suspension on the first offense. Just what I talked about. You're looking at a 4-month license suspension. They can be converted to a 5-month restriction after 30 days.
Like to and from work and that kind of thing, but nowhere else.
To and from work, nature and scope of your employment. Right.
And usually, if you're when you're going out for the holidays, going to a Christmas party, that you're going to drink. I mean, if you're a drinking person, if you're the type who are going to go and have a couple cocktails, so just plan. Don't go out and say, I'm just going to have a couple and go home, because you might be 0.1, or you might have 2 glasses like Heidi. We all know Heidi can handle 2 glasses.
Right.
Plus, she can handle 2 bottles.
That's right. I'm totally. Oh, it's true. But I wouldn't drive.
Yeah, but it would look like you were impaired, even though you felt fine. So don't do it. Plan for it. Have a designated driver. Have Myles' number. I'm not saying go out and get wasted and have Myles' number. I'm saying that you might need Myles' number because of the situation. I just found out that you get a set of half an orange out for 4 days. It'll ferment, and if I would eat that, it's already fermented. I probably had some alcohol in my system. So
you just had a bad orange.
I had a piece of pizza last night that was a week old. It was probably fermented, and I drove to work this morning. If I didn't got pulled over for work, I could have been drunk on pizza. And who would have known? I would have known that.
It's interesting. Fermentation actually is an issue in blood cases. So without getting too involved, sometimes blood in a vial can ferment and create alcohol, and the machine measures it as if it's
way worse than it is.
Yeah, and can't tell if it's fermented alcohol or if it's alcohol that was initially in the blood that was put in the vial at the time.
Is that normal that blood would ferment and become alcohol?
Yes, it is, but there are supposed to be sufficient amount of preservative and anticoagulants in the vial to stop that, but it doesn't.
But it's a
stop
good
it.
defense if
But
you're
it
like, maybe
doesn't-
there wasn't enough of what needed to be in there. Wow,
Myles,
that's nuts.
it's always good talking to you. Always so informative, and people need to be educated about this because it affects. I mean, you probably know somebody. I mean, like say, everybody knows somebody with cancer. Probably everybody knows somebody who's had a DUI or some similar, been pulled over.
Yeah, just to make another point. Here's what we're seeing a lot lately: DUI drugs. With drugs being lawfully prescribed drugs, where people are taking drugs and they're getting pulled over. And it's happening a lot with people who are older who are taking more medication for whatever reason, or after some type of medical procedure. So we're seeing a lot of that in addition to increase in DUI marijuana.
So
it has nothing to do with alcohol.
It's prescription drugs as well.
Yeah, but like my mom just had
That's
knee
right.
surgery, and
That's right.
she's on whatever hydrocodone or whatever that is, legally prescribed medication.
Right.
She gets pulled over because she had to run to the store.
Right.
We're screwed.
Well,
because she's driving under the influence.
Well, no. Remember, 888-4-TOP-GUN.
Well, that's
There
right.
you go.
That's right.
Write that number down. 888-4 Top Gun. The number 4 TOPGUN. Website topgundui.com. And then definitely follow Myles on Twitter. He puts out the checkpoints on Wednesdays? Every Wednesday?
Fridays.
Fridays puts out the checkpoints that are going to happen over the weekend at Myles L Berman on Twitter. That's MYLES L Berman. Myles L Berman at Myles L Berman on Twitter. Thank you so much for coming
Thanks,
in.
Myles.
Always fun to see you.
Thank you, and thank you guys for retweeting the checkpoints on Fridays as well.
We'll keep doing it. We'll be right back. We're Heidi and Frank.
KLOS Skylord Traffic.
Here we go, folks. Look at traffic brought to us by Wynn Chevrolet. Beat the traffic on the